Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Text 31. Na te viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ hi viṣṇuṁ durāśayā ye bahir-artha-māninaḥ andhā yathāndhair upanīyamānās pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ na te viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ andhā yathāndhair upanīyamānās pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ na te viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ andhā yathāndhair upanīyamānās pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ na te viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ andhā yathāndhair upanīyamānās pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ Anybody else?
durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ, andhāḥ upanīyamānās, pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ, viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ, viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ, durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ, durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ, yathāndhair upanīyamānās, pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ.
Mataji, Vaishnavi,
viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ,
svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ,
durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ,
durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ,
yathāndhair upanīyamānās,
andhāḥ upanīyamānās,
pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ.
pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ.
नाते विदुः svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ,
viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ,
durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ,
durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ,
andhā yathāndhair upanīyamānās,
andhāḥ upanīyamānās,
pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ.
word meaning.
Word for word meaning. Na, not. Te, they. Viduḥ, no. Svārtha-gatiṁ, the ultimate goal of life, or their own real interest. Indeed, viṣṇuṁ, Lord Viṣṇu and his abode, durāśayā, being ambitious to enjoy this material world. Who, bahiḥ, external sense objects. Artha-māninaḥ, considering as valuable. Andhā, persons who are blind. Yatha, just as. Andhāḥ, by other blind men. Upanīyamānās, being led. They. Api, although. īśa-tantryām, to the ropes, laws of material nature. Uru, having very strong. Ḍamni, cords. Baddhāḥ, bound. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Viṣṇu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Purport. Since there must always be a difference of opinion between demons and devotees, Hiranyakashipu, when criticized by his son Prahlad Maharaj, should not have been surprised that Prahlad Maharaj differed from his way of life. Nonetheless, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and wanted to rebuke his son for deriding his teacher or spiritual master, who had been born in the Brahmana family of the great Acharya, Shukracharya. The word Shukra means semen, and Acharya refers to a teacher or guru. Hereditary gurus or spiritual masters have been accepted everywhere since time immemorial. But Prahlad Maharaj declined to accept such a seminal guru or take instruction from him. An actual guru is Srotriya, one who has heard or received perfect knowledge through parampara, the disciplic succession. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not recognize the seminal spiritual master. Such spiritual masters are not at all interested in Viṣṇu. Indeed, they are hopeful of material success. Bahir-artha-māninaḥ. The word bahi means external, artha means interest, and manina means taking very seriously. Generally speaking, practically everyone is unaware of the spiritual world. The knowledge of materialists is restricted within the 4 billion mile limit of this material world, which is in the dark portion of the creation. They do not know that beyond the material world is the spiritual world. Unless one is a devotee of the Lord, one cannot understand the existence of the spiritual world. Gurus, teachers who are simply interested in this material world are described in this verse as andhā, blind. Such blind men may lead many other blind followers without true knowledge of material conditions, but they are not accepted by devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. Such blind teachers, being interested in the external material world, are always bound by the strong ropes of material nature. That's in the Bhaktivedanta Purport, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Text 31, Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnānatimirandasya Jnānanjanāśalakya Chakshurmilitanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sakadam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta-pada-kamlan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Viṣṇaṁ He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vancha kalpatarvyascha Vipātirupayevacha Paritānām pavanebhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nāde viduḥ svārtha-gatiṁ viṣṇuṁ durāśayā bahir-artha-māninaḥ andhā yathāndhair upanīyamānās pīśa-tantryām uru-dāmni baddhāḥ. So Maharaja is continuing to respond to his father. Just few verses prior, his father chastised Maharaja's teachers, Sandana for his son being acquainted with spiritual philosophy. The Hiranyakashipu was thinking that the Vaishnavas are coming in disguise to give knowledge to my son, and his son and Amarka are not smart enough to detect them. The son and Amarka said, "Don't chastise us, we are Brahmins. We don't know ourselves. How your son is getting this knowledge?" So, Lal Maharaj is responding to his father's anger. And in the verse we discussed yesterday, Lal Maharaj has explained that by and large, the materialists are simply chewing the chewed. Simply chewing the chewed means they are pursuing a path of material happiness. They try various items, and in the end the result is zero. Just like every year there's a new automobile model that comes out. Am I right?
Yes.
Every company wants to bring out a new model every year. Every year, the Apple phone brings out a new model. And every year, there's a fashion show in Paris, and they display the latest models. And those who are rich enough pride themselves in buying the latest car, buying the latest fashion clothes, buying the latest smartphone, etc. But does this give them any satisfaction? It may give them some satisfaction that I'm ahead of the others, but it doesn't really give them real peace of mind. And their life is always full of tension. Just like Govinda says, Bhaja ure manashi nanda nandana abhichanana vindane. My dear mind, you're full of tension. So, you may have access to the latest amenities, but that doesn't give you real happiness. So, Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, those are strongly entrapped by the thought of leading a material life, and they accepted a teacher who also supports them, who is also doing the same thing, then what happens? They cannot understand what is the goal of life. This verse, along with numerous other verses of the Bhagavatam, point out that the goal of life is to, what is it? Go back to God. This verse explains the goal of life is to return home, back to God. They may ask you what's your address. You may say Scarborough, Brampton, whatever, Toronto. But our real address is, a permanent address is the spiritual world. But this is only a temporary, makeshift arrangement. So, the blind are leading the blind. Blind leading the blind, what does it mean? Leaders are also blind. We have so many political leaders. Does anyone ever talk about spirituality? No. The leaders are also promising only sense enjoyment. Even in India, the different political parties, nobody promises spiritual life. They just say, oh, if you vote for us, we'll give you more reservation or more economic incentive. No one says, I'm going to give you a spiritual knowledge so that you can go back to Godhead. No. Prabhupada was once lecturing at a very famous university in America, and he said, is there any department here that tells you what happens after death? And they were silent. In France, there's a museum called La Louvre. Louvre in French means museum. So this is a world famous museum, La Louvre. People from the whole world come to see it. They have very unique paintings there. So they have one painting that exactly echoes the verse. They have one painting where they show a leader is blind, the followers behind him are blind, and they all fall in the ditch. So that concept is probably stolen from this verse, because Prahlad is saying, the leaders are blind, the followers are blind, and they all fall in the ditch. What does it mean, fall in the ditch? That means they all are headed for hellish life. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, there is a description of the hellish planets and heavenly planets. And it is explained that if one becomes a leader and he does not guide his subjects on the path of self-realization, if he is only interested in extracting taxes, then after death he goes to the hellish planets where he is squeezed through a machine, just like a sugarcane is squeezed through the machine. And he faints. So the point is, it doesn't matter in which field you are, the leader must be exemplary. Even now, people talk of Ramraja, because Lord Ram was an exemplary king. So, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, those who think that they can find happiness in material life, that is the part of illusion. What does Maya mean? What does Maya mean?
Which is not.
That which is not. So illusion means something that is unreal you accept as real, and something that is real you accept as unreal. For example, the soul is eternal in nature, as explained in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the most important, because through a series of verses, Lord Shri Krishna is explaining the nature of the soul. And what's the nature of the soul? Eternal. No birth, no death. No jati medeva kadachan. And Krishna explains, as we throw away our old clothes and wear new clothes, the soul leaves one body and takes on another body. And whatever body is going to take, is going to be determined by your actions. This is the law of karma. And the Bible supports this. The Bible states, as you sow, you shall reap, which is nothing but the law of karma. So, those who are deeply attached to material life, those who think that they're going to find happiness from material endeavors, Shama eva hi. What does it mean? Simply a waste of time. And as we read yesterday, Punah Charvata Chavananam, simply chewing the chew. So, if you're too attracted to material life, then you can't understand spiritual knowledge. Just like if a man is intoxicated, sometimes you meet drunkards on the road. Do you ever ask them any question? Do you ever ask a drunkard, where is that road? No. The man is drunk. So similarly, we're also all intoxicated by the power of illusion. And therefore, we don't know how to act. So, our leaders are blind, followers are blind. And as a result, they all fall in the ditch. Which means they all go through the samsara of birth and death. Now this message that the living entity is foolishly pursuing the path of sense enjoyment has been repeated again and again in the scriptures. As we said yesterday, from the first canto to the 12th canto, these basic points get repeated again and again. Why? Because unless we hear it regularly, we will not understand these points. So, our leaders are blind. Bhakti Siddhanta used to say, it's a world of cheaters and cheated. The leaders are ready to cheat and the praja is ready to be cheated. But they both have the same goal. So, those who are blind to self-realization, they are wasting their valuable human life. There's a very famous Vaishnava poet who said, Hari Hari Bipre Janma Gunahinu Manusya Janma Paya Radha Krishna Vajya Janya Shunya pīśa-tantryām. Having obtained this rare human birth, not having worshipped Radha and Krishna, I was simply drinking poison uselessly. So people are drinking poison, and devotees, when they go to preach, they are requesting them, replace your poison, glass of poison, with a glass of nectar. Some accept it, and some don't. So, the leaders, they are debauchees. The leaders are immoral. The leaders do not practice spirituality. Just like the president of one prominent country. He had 4 wives. He had 4 official wives. And of course in Africa, you can have dozens. This is in a prominent environment, civilized environment. Still he got elected as a leader. The man's caught so many times cheating, still people vote for him. Because they are blind and the leaders are blind. We don't judge a leader by his character. That is the unfortunate reality of Kali Yuga. So, this illusion has to be corrected. Now, over here we see Shukracharya is a teacher. And Prabhupada discusses this point in the purport. This is the main point in the purport that Prabhupada discusses. Shukra means semen. So Shukracharya means teacher. But teacher, as a result of samyaka discharge, or teacher by birth, hereditary. My father was a guru, my father had the gadi, so I also sit on the gadi. Whether he has a qualification or not is immaterial. Our Krishna conscious process is There must be qualification. We don't recognize hereditary gurus. Why? Because they may not be qualified. Like over here we see Śrīla, his sons were guiding, trying to brainwash Prahlāda Maharaj to accept that their father is supreme. Actually, a guru should be happy when he sees that the child is progressing spiritually. But here we see the Śrīla's sons, who were the teachers, they would gladly, they were always trying to execute Hiranyakashipu's instruction. So Prabhupada makes a point in a purport that Prahlāda Maharaj did not take instructions from him because his instructions were not in favor of surrendering to Krishna. In the Bhagavatam, we read the story of Bali Maharaj and Vamandev. So, Vamandev disguised himself as a young Brahmin boy and came to the assembly where Bali Maharaj was performing a yajna. And when Vamandev came there, Bali Maharaj received him very warmly and said, "My whole family will get purified by your presence." And Bali Maharaj asked him, "Is there any service I can do for you?" When you meet a saintly person, you should ask, "What can I do for you?" So Vamandev said, "You can give me enough land where I can keep 3 footsteps. That's all." And Bali Maharaj said, "You don't look very intelligent to me. You look like an innocent boy. You don't come to a big man and ask him for such a small gift. Ask me a whole planet. What is a small gift? Enough land to keep 3 footsteps." And then Vamandev said, "One who can't control his senses will not be satisfied even if he gets the wealth of the whole world. One who can't control his senses, he will never be satisfied." We see that in reality. The rich all over the world are getting richer. If you read, I recently read the global statistics, and the rich all over the world have almost doubled their income in the last 5 years. So the rich get richer. You see that even in India, the rich get richer. Why? They have the facilities to invest and multiply their income. They are not satisfied. They want more, more, more. Whereas one who has a holy name is satisfied in any condition. Last evening, we gave you the story of Sudama Brahman. The Sudama Brahman was very poor. He just had one dhoti and his wife, and he was completely happy. So, Vamandev explained that don't try and tempt me with more offers. One who can't control his senses will never be satisfied. Śrīla, the spiritual master Bali Maharaj, he knew that this Vamandev is none else but the Supreme Personality of God. So Śrīla said, "Bali Maharaj, you're a fool. You don't know who this beggar is. This beggar is a Lord who has come to deprive you of all your possessions. So you can tell him you were joking and you didn't really mean it, that you're going to give him enough land to keep himself. And Bali Maharaj said, this world can tolerate the weight of mountains, the earth can tolerate the oceans, but the earth cannot tolerate a liar. So I will not lie. So one may say, Shukracharya should have been happy that his disciple Bali Maharaj was going to surrender everything to the Lord. But he was concerned. Because he was thinking, if my disciple gives everything to the Lord, what will I get? My pocket money will stop. So that is the difference between a real guru and one with a guru by birth. So if we take to the holy name, one will be satisfied in any condition. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you read a story of Kulavita Śrīla. I'm sure you've heard it before. So Kulavita Śrīla was materially a very poor man, simple man. He was doing a small business of making banana leaf cups and selling it to those who came to the Ganga to offer flowers. And he would have on his table some bananas also. And he would be totally absorbed in chanting the names of Kṛṣṇa day and night. My Pandit became a Sanskrit scholar at a young age. And the mind would every day pass by his shop to go to his school. At the age of 11, opened a Sanskrit school. So every day the mind would go there to his shop and say, "So what's the price of bananas today?" And he would quote 2 paisa a dozen. And the mind would say, "No, it's too high. You're charging too much profit. This is not good. I know how rich you are." And Kulavita Śrīla would say, "If you really want to see my riches, come to my house and see." Because he was just living in one room, with no roof, and the room was made of tin. And he just had one pot in his house, and he had one dhoti to wear. But he was totally satisfied, because he was engaged in chanting the names of the Lord. So one day, the mind was showing a divine form to selected devotees. And one of them was Śrīla. So the Lord said, "Divine, I can give you any opulence you want. Just ask me. Kulavita, ask me for any benediction you want." He said, "My dear Lord, if you want to give me a benediction, don't give me any material opulence. Just give me the benediction that in every birth you come to my shop and bargain with me. In every birth I get the opportunity to serve you." So that is the difference between a spiritualist and a materialist. A spiritualist knows the real satisfaction can be derived only by serving the Lord. He doesn't waste his valuable human life. He doesn't think, I can come up with a plan that will give me real happiness. The sevenfold mysteries of life, will they spare anyone? In Sanskrit there are 2 words, pavarga and upavarga. Upavarga means performing activities that are in accordance with the laws of God. And apavarga means performing material activity. And this word pavarga has 5 components. The first is parisha. Parisha means hard work. In material life, you have to work hard, am I right?